Hello, I'm Simulator Deck, and we're back for another episode of Train Mechanic Simulator. We need to get over to the office to have a look at our next series of jobs. Okay, we received a locomotive that has a problem running uphill. It appears that the problem is with the main engine. The locomotive must urgently be repaired. It appears that engine parts are damaged. Please make the necessary repairs. Alright, let's do that. So, damaged engine parts, eh? Let's go out and have a look. So, let's have a look at the conditions. Alright. So the logical place to start would be, funnily enough, the engine. So we have our engine here. It's lucky that we can have a look. Oh, that's weird. So, nothing to do with the actual engine itself. I'm gathering that there's a problem lost in translation. So we'll go out of that and we'll have a look first of all down here. So we'll go in and we'll have a look at truck frame just to make sure that everything's okay, and then we'll start back at around the traction engine. Remembering that it could be indeed the other end. So again, I'm just going to go through and process of elimination. Even though it's probably not going to be things like brake calipers and whatnot, just so I make sure that I don't miss anything. Has led me down the garden path before. Now, I was hoping it was going to let me into the actual engine area, but unfortunately, seemingly not. So we'll just do this, and we'll go through systematically, work at this end, and then work through the other end. It has mainly been concerned with what's under the bogies, etc., or the bogie area, or what I'd call the bogie area, the trucks as they'd call it in America and in other places. Because eventually they are going to have to give us things like something in the engine, you know, of leaking fuel tank, something like that. We're going to have to do that to us eventually, I think. Oops. So overall we're looking pretty sweet down at that end. So we'll go down. See, it's not letting us check things like the fuel tank, so I'm guessing that it's the okay, that's the end we were just at. So if we wander down, it's not letting us. Oh, it is letting us check the fuel tank. Fuel tank's okay. Okay, that's an interesting development. So what we're going to do, we're going to check on the other side. We'll just get rid of the body. And again, process of elimination, check things like the electric motor cover, the engine mounting, drive gear. It only could take one of these little elements not to be working. So again, we'll just process of elimination. This is where we need to be concerned, like the electric motor cover. And it would make sense. They haven't really given us anything outside of the areas that we're working on at the moment. And then that way also we can say that we've checked everything that we're able to check. Much to check here, and none of this stuff that I'm checking now should be anything to do with anything anyway, for what the problem was reported to be. But for the process of elimination, for entertainment purposes, so we can see that pretty much at either end, is not the problem. So now, we can leave that. Now things like this, have we been able to check before? Let's have a look. Compressed air tank. No, they're all good. So, do we need to escape and put the body back on? That is a question. Alright, now let's go. Can we actually climb up? Is that a thing? Hang on. No. Continue. Job order. There's 4 engine parts that are... Oh, here we go. We can check. So what we're going to check, we're going to check the engine covers first. Just going to go in a logical sequence. Alright, let's have a look. Combustion chambers. I'm just going to have a look one side at a time. Crankshaft's good. Or valve cover shouldn't really have anything to do with it, but we'll... Now, can we go around this side? Yes, we can. Oh, okay, valve cover. Okay, so we've got a valve cover, which is an issue, which I wouldn't have thought would have been the major issue, but we'll have a look. A cover being faulty wouldn't necessarily explain what has been found and what's been reported. Now, I haven't worked on the engine section so far. We've got to check these covers as well. Oh no! Game crash! Too many heap sections, whatever that is. Hang on, I missed that instruction, but we'll be back. Okie dokie, we're back. We have had a game crash. So what we're doing is we're looking for damaged engine parts. Apparently the loco is having trouble powering uphill. So we're going to continue on. We're basically going to start just with the engine section again. And we're going to go into testing mode. We haven't found anything major yet that would explain the reported issues of the locomotive travelling uphill. All we have found so far is a faulty cover, which really wouldn't explain what has transpired, you know, what the report was. So we're just going logically again, starting with the engine covers. The crankshaft is pretty easy to determine. You'd think it'd be something more to do with a crankshaft than an engine cover. So we're just... Oh, valve tappets and all. Okay, that's... So I'm going to do the large things first. And then we can do the little detailed, or even things, oh, you can even check things like fuel hose. So even these little handles, even though it's very unlikely that they would be affected, I'm going to do that anyway. Alright, there's more fiddly things in there, but we can't get to them at this stage. We'll turn it around, we'll do the same on the other side. Now we know this valve cover is defective. So we'll do what we can without disassembling anything. And sometimes in real life, you have to dismantle things to have a look at them. You can't just do what we're doing now and, you know, magically be able to look through the walls, so to speak. So we know that there's 4 faulty parts that we've been... It's given us the clue that there's 4 faulty parts. Alright, now we can concentrate on the pistons, because all it would take would be 1 faulty piston. That certainly wouldn't help. Okay, there's piston handles we have to look at as well. You know, all it could take is one little thing like a piston handle or a piston to not be cooperating. Now, I certainly wouldn't be able to do this in real life. I wouldn't know where to start. Plus, I'm not qualified. Alright, so that looks good. There's a couple of other little bits and pieces in there that I don't think we've got yet, like little piston handles, which probably aren't the cause of the issues, but while we're here, we'll get them. Pulse generator, that could certainly have some effect. Camshaft, yeah, that could definitely be not helpful. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble the valve covers. Oh, hello. Now, so what we're going to do, we're just going to be systematic. Oh, hang on, I'm in disassembly mode here, hang on. Installation mode. Alright, I need to be in testing mode. Right. So we know that one of the valve covers is defective. We already know that. I certainly wouldn't want to take one of these apart in real life and have to put it back together. Could just take one of these little valve tappets to come up red, and that's all. And that's all good to say, hey, look, we found this. So we'll just keep on going. Just because one of the valve covers is defective doesn't necessarily automatically mean that the valves underneath it are defective. Actually, yeah, I can zoom in a minute and have a closer look at what we're doing. Oh, fuel hose? Ignition cable? Yeah, that's certainly... Fuel hose or ignition. A fuel hose connector, that could certainly see if we can... Yeah, oh, geez, look at the detail we can go into now. So we can look at the mounting of the valve tappets. Fuel hose. Fuel hose. Fuel hose connector. The engine, an engine valve. So we'll move over to the next one. And we've got to do one on the other side too. We're going to be here a while, boys and girls. But that's what we're here for. And it's going to take one fiddly little thing like a fuel hose. Hang on, we haven't even got engine valve spring. How methodical you have to be. So that one we've pretty much done. We need to check that ignition cable. There we go. So now we can zoom in really close. Realistically, it's going to be something like a fuel hose or an ignition cable. Hydraulic throttle mechanism, yeah, that could make sense. Whoops. So a logical place to start, which is what I'm doing now, is things like the fuel hoses and ignition cables. What's that down there? Piston handle I missed. Okay. Alright, so this... I'll check the ignition cables and the fuel hoses. So it will arrow back. Just need to go for a walk. Up here a little bit so we can have a look at this end. So fuel hose, ignition cable, now, in a model diesel engine or a diesel locomotive, there'd be error codes and things that it would be able to tell you, and it would probably be able to tell you what cylinder, what cable, you know, whatever part it is. We need to... zoom out a little bit. Fuel hose. You know, sometimes it's not the actual hose itself, it's just the connector. So the only thing that we really know at the moment is a valve cover. Yeah, we'll do this. Now, I wonder if you don't do it, if you don't diagnose something and then you just sign it off anyway, if it will actually tell you in the end, oh, this is what you missed and this is where it was. Because that would be handy. Oh no, not again. Oh. Alright, here we are again. Had another game crash. So we know so far that we've found the valve cover that's defective in the engine section, and that is all we have found at the moment. So we'll go back to our engine and we'll go into inspection mode. Oh, it's actually recognised some of the areas. It actually recognised where I was up to before the game crashed. Sweet. So So the job order recognises that we've found one of the faults so far, which really in effect wouldn't be the main issue. But we will keep being patient, because patient is what I am, and I do have patience. Boy, do I have patience. Alright, that's pretty good. We'll move on to this one. We'll do the fuel hose. And I was expecting to have to start checking this engine all over again, which I would not have been happy about. So we've still got another 3 faulty parts at least. And we've only disassembled one at this point, which is the valve cover. Now I probably have missed couple of the engine springs. So before we go to the other side, I'll try and correct that. Alright. There's one there. That's a ignition cable. Looking pretty good on this side. Hang on, that's an engine valve. Oh, we're gonna have to. Alright, we'll start on the other side. We will try and be again methodical. Fuel hose. Fuel hose. I actually forget now which valve cover's defective. Oh, here we go. A fuel hose connector is faulty. So that certainly would not help. Everything around it could be unserviceable, but so while we're here, we'll go to the tablet, fuel hose connector, fuel systems. Okay, maybe it's mechanical. Hang on, fuel hose connector. There we go. So while we're here, we'll go into take apart mode. We need to take the fuel hoses off first. fuel hose connector. I haven't even considered what those glowing red things are. Installation, fuel hose connector, pick the good one. One fuel hose. Pick the good fuel hose. And we are good. We can go back to testing. So that is all good now. So that is one of the problems that we know we have found. And we'll do the same. And we'll do the same again. Ah, we got another faulty fuel hose connector. Alright, so fuel hose connector. So we need to go into disassembly mode again. Take the fuel hoses off. And the fuel hose connector. Get to our tablet. Fuel systems. Fuel hose connector. To put together mode, fuel hose connector, pick the good one. Wait, didn't mean to zoom in that part. Sorry, people. Installation mode. Fuel hose, select the fuel hose, and we're good there. Go back to test mode, and we can keep searching. Now, my guess is that it's going to be something again like the fuel hose, maybe an ignition cable, something like that. Fuel hose connector is faulty. We'll just check all of these first. What I'm going to do for the rest of these, I'm going to start with the fuel hose connector because I've lost two already. You know, if two are faulty, That's alright. And our last one. So we know now that we've got another faulty fuel hose connector, so we'll go to the workshop. Can't order. So we'll go into disassembly mode again. Assembly mode now. Fuel hose connector, pick a good one. Select the fuel hose. Select the fuel hose. And we'll go back to inspection mode. So we'll continue on. I'm actually pretty sure that we've got everything that we need to. Yeah, we just need to replace the valve cover, which is easily done. But for completeness, I know you're doing half a job with these things. Did we do the ignition hose? There's one thing I will give it, it's very detailed for what this is. So the fuel hose connector, that being faulty does explain, especially on multiple engine parts, really does explain some of the issues that the driver reported. Boom. Did we do that ignition cable? No, we haven't. We have now. Oh, I don't know if we're... Now this is heavy duty stuff here. that we're checking. Don't know realistically if you'd be able to check all this. You know, while it's, you know, you might be able to break it down and so overall looking good. I've still got a couple to go. It just goes to show you how many moving parts are involved. You know, it could be a $2 fuel controller for a cylinder that lets go. While we're here, I think we've just got this one to go. And the ignition cable should be the last. So overall, our engine, we've done that. So now what we need to do, we need to go back and we need to get a valve cover. The engine, wouldn't it? A valve cover, there we go. So we can go into installation mode now. Pick the good valve. Well, I've got to put all the valve covers on. So needless to say, we'll pick the good ones. Doesn't really matter which one's which. So we'll go back into our parts warehouse. Work order, which is M, 3 fuel hose connectors and a valve cover. And we have done our first little bit of work with the engine. So not that we're going to do it on this episode, but we'll have a look at our work order and see what we've got coming up. Number 9, the residents of the city have reported to us a grey smoke rising over one of the suburban stations. Find the cause. During the test ride, the driver complained that the engine runs too loudly. Number 11, the train has a brake system failure. And number 12, the train has a problem with the fuel tank. It is leaky and fuel is leaking from it. Well, if it's leaking and fuel's leaking from it, well, obviously it's a leaking fuel tank. Make the necessary repairs! Exclamation mark. Anywho, that's what we'll be starting on the next episode. I've been Simulator Dirk. You've been awesome. See you later, and don't forget, PP.